Anaerobic digestion, or AD, is a fantastic option for farmers wanting to diversify into green energy. The process, which breaks down feedstocks such as animal manures, energy crops and food waste, produces a methane-rich biogas which can then be used as electricity or heat generation. What's left is an odour-free digestate which can then be used to spread on the land as fertiliser. I'm here at Wyke Farm to speak to farmer Simon Gittins about his experiences.
Wyke Farm is a predominantly arable farm. We farm about 1,600 acres of owned and rented land. We're predominantly wheat, oilseed rape, and in the past we were potatoes and sugar beet, and also we had a dairy herd. The dairy herd was in the village of Right Levantowns. It got very difficult to be right in the middle of the village. So we got out of dairy, and then soon after that the sugar beet factory shut, so we were left in a bit of a awkward situation as to where to go from there. So at that point we started looking around, and we started looking seriously at anaerobic digestion, and that led to us building this plant last year, and we commissioned it and started running in May 2012.
Can you tell us about the AD plant and how much energy it's producing?
We started off at 500 kilowatts per hour, so that works out about 4 million kilowatts a year, and recently we've just upgraded it or increased the feeding so that we're now producing a megawatt every hour, and we're going to be taking that up to 1,300 kilowatts, 1.3 megawatts. When I was looking at it, we looked predominantly around Germany and Holland and the UK, because that's where most of the digesters are, and we narrowed it down to 4 companies. One of which was a company called March's Biogas, who are from Shropshire in Ludlow, and we eventually went with them. And the reason was that they've got this new digester, which this is the first one of its kind in the world, which is what's known as a semi-plug flow digester. And we believe, well, it's proving to be a lot more efficient than the standard typical German systems.
What feedstocks do you use in the digester, and whereabouts do you source them from?
It's an agricultural digester, so we are limited to agricultural feedstocks and manures. So we put in about 30% of manures, principally broiler muck and slurry, and we also add to that maize, sugar beet, grass and triticale. But the aim for us is to maximise the amount of manures we can put in, because that's obviously, there's about 80 million tonnes of manures in the UK, and all that energy is out there being wasted, and we really want to digest it. And it also means that when it gets to the other end in the digestate, it's non-odorous, it's the fertiliser value in there's 25% more available, and it reduces our fertiliser bill by about 70%.
Well, I think anaerobic digestion offers the opportunity to deliver a range of environmental benefits. Of course, there's the on-farm energy production, electricity as well as heat, but also better nutrient management, the abatement of greenhouse gas emissions, and quite likely a route for farmers to be able to better comply with growing water resource protection measures.
Have you experienced any challenges along the way?
Yeah, because it was, we were probably one of the first, well, definitely in this area, there was a lot of concerns locally, proven to be unfounded, but it's quite a stressful time doing planning, as you can imagine, and trying to get over the truth can be difficult, but I think we managed that, and we were, we started running last May, and I think, hopefully, I'd like to think that the neighbours think that it's no problem.
The industry has been relatively slow to take off. This is a more complex technology than just putting up a wind turbine or putting some solar photovoltaics on your farm buildings. You do need operator skills, the engineering is more complex, and certainly at the sort of farm scale, the financial returns are not as rapid to come in. Nevertheless, I think there is a great opportunity in the UK to follow the route of other European member states like Germany and build an industry, both in terms of farmers being able to use the technology and also the manufacturing supply chain to support it.
And how has the AD plant transformed your business?
It's fantastic. I mean, as I say, we were in a position where the potatoes are gone, the dairy gone, sugar beet gone. We were down to just arable acreage, cereals, and at that time, 5 years ago, cereals were £90 a tonne. So we were really concerned about where the farm went. So we wanted to diversify. At that time, the politicians were saying, farmers, we want you to not only grow food, we want you to look after the environment, and we also want you to produce renewable energy. So we thought, well, let's go for all three. So we've got quite an extensive HLS agreement, high level stewardship scheme. So we have 100 acres just behind us over there we flooded for wading birds. We have a lot of wild bird mix and all sorts of other measures. We plant probably 1,000 trees and shrubs each year. And then on top of that, we obviously grow the crops for food. And additionally now, we produce renewable energy. And it's a real good mix. They all work together very, very well. For example, growing energy crops, spring cropping means that you get more overwintered stubbles, which is better for bird life and more varied for the area. And also producing all the organic fertilizer means that we can put that back on the soil, which saves on very energy intensively made bag muck.
The NFU's been involved with the current government administration, as well as actually previous administrations, in developing roadmaps and strategies for more widespread deployment of anaerobic digestion. What we see as absolutely key is that there is a role in the agricultural sector, as well as just in sort of large waste management companies dealing with food processing wastes and post-consumer green waste and so on. A lot of agricultural feedstock that currently has little value can be used in these plants to deliver, as I said, these energy and environment benefits on farm.
Well, the system is, people say it's like a cow's stomach. It is in a little way, although a cow in a cow's room and stuff stays there for about 5 hours. In this, it stays there for about 70 days. And what we're doing is replicating the warmth and the bugs and everything else that goes on inside a digestive system, and that produces biogas. Biogas is about 55% methane, so it's effectively a weaker form of natural gas, and that runs these two engines here, which are effectively big marine diesel engines with petrol tops and a big turbo. So the gas replaces the petrol. That runs a big alternator which produces the electricity. We produce about, as I say, about 1,000 kilowatts each hour, which is enough for about 1,200 or 1,400 homes. And we use about 7 to 10% on site to run the farm and potato stores and other things, and the rest goes into the national grid and is used locally.
How can we cut the red tape surrounding the industry? So environmental permitting, for instance?
Well, there were a number of key asks in the anaerobic digestion strategy, and we are still pursuing government officials to try and make sure we have action on these. One relates to the ease of planning consent and the possibility that quite small plants may even be subject to exemptions, where you can demonstrate that an AD plant is reasonably necessary for the purposes of agriculture. Another area of red tape clearly is environmental permitting. The Environment Agency, I think, has actually moved a long way on this now. We have some quite workable standard environmental permits, one of which applies to the on-farm situation. We think we can make more progress, though, on smaller plants which can actually receive exemptions from environmental permitting. And we're particularly looking forward at the moment to a regulatory position statement from the Environment Agency on how several farms can collaborate together to contribute feedstocks to a single plant, and then the farms themselves can then benefit from the co-product digestate going back to land spreading.
And where would you like to see the UK AD sector in the future?
Well, the NFU some years ago now called for an ambition, an aspiration of 1,000 AD plants on farms by the end of this decade. We now have something of the order of about 100, although not all of those are farm AD plants. So there is progress being made towards that kind of goal. The main thing we are very pleased about is that goal seems to have been largely taken up by government and other trade associations as an achievable ambition for the deployment of this technology.
How do you see the AD plant developing in the next few years?
Well, we'd like to get up to the full capacity, 1,300 kilowatts, and then I think we can start really working it better to make it even more environmentally friendly by using more manures. And March's Biogas and ourselves, we're doing a lot of R&D in ways of being able to use more manure. Because the thing about broiler muck is it's very high in nitrogen, so we need, when you're digesting something that's so high in nitrogen, you need to cut it with carboniferous type material, which can be energy crops, but it also can be vegetable waste, and we would love to be able to use much more vegetable waste. There's hundreds of thousands of tons out there available. Unfortunately, at the moment, because of the way the regulations are with the Environment Agency, we can't take it. So, for example, if we produce a potato or a carrot on farm here that's slightly out of grade, we can put it in our digester, but if that potato or carrot goes down the road, is washed or peeled, suddenly it's a dangerous waste. It's a simple thing, and I've got huge respect for the EA. They do a wonderful job, but if we could just trim up these regulations a bit, it would be politically fantastic, it would be fantastic for the environment, and it would mean that we could massively reduce the amount of energy crops we use even further, which would nationally be good, and would mean that we could obviously grow even more food.